All right, folks, welcome back. It is day 14. HanziHero，欢迎大家回来。今天是第14天。Four man. Say versus 4. Yeah. All right. Oh no, we don't need this. Do we have to? We have to go over mistakes, right? What were our mistakes? We didn't have any mistakes yesterday. Yeah, these are within the 24 hours still. Right? Yeah, because we accounted for Kirby, and I was waiting on Napoleon, but Napoleon hasn't wrapped around yet. And what was the why with fur? Oh, the tone. Yeah, that was 2 days ago. The tone. So we corrected those yesterday. So nothing from yesterday. We're up to 20. Will be our second day or third day with 20 lessons. Let's get right into it. All right.
他们
Common. Default. Okay. So if it's a plural of he is they, yeah. Self-explanatory. You gotta love Chinese. 他们有两个孩子。
他们有两个孩子。
孩子。
他们有两个孩子。
Okay. There's something that I definitely do not do out of habit now that I've listened to these things is to raise the pitch a little going at the end, which does explain a little bit of uptone when it comes to it. Now I have conflicting things. In English, when you're making a statement, there's I drop my tone. Like I do a down tone, a natural down tone. So oftentimes the last syllable in a lot of when I'm speaking, even in Fujianese, it ends up being a 3. But a lot of times these things is slightly higher than they're respected. In this example, I should listen for that in the future to see how the ends work with respect to their tones. But I noticed that a lot of these generated sentences, like a third tone, is like the baseline is a little higher than I think, and it actually gets slightly driven up. And this is neutral as far as I know, but you can hear the slight driven up, right?
他们有两个孩子。
Yeah, 孩子, right? 孩子 instead of 孩子, right? 孩子 instead of 孩子. So it stops off of the rise, which I typically do in the middle of sentences, but I don't necessarily do them at the end of sentences. Largely because English, I don't talk like this. I definitely don't try to sound like I'm always not going to end my sentences while I'm going about, changing ideas. And so most of the time, it's going down. And I've noticed that it sounds nicer in my opinion. Sort of.
他们有两个孩子。
Yeah, I kind of like it. 他们有, and I don't know which one's proper. So that's just me listening to things. It's not a commentary on what's right or wrong because I have no point of reference. I'm not listening to native speakers all the time in the sense of native speakers in Taiwan or China. My folks will sound slightly different, largely due to the nature of being surrounded by English speakers. So the ends of sentences are often exceptions a lot of times when it comes to regional differences, at least from my experience. So when another overlapping language has like a specific recurring thing at the end of sentences, it's can be different. Much like the default Mandarin thing, where if like the third tone it raises if it's alone or at the end of sentences, that kind of thing. It's a development that's very specific to the end of the sentence. And I've noticed that these generated things sound pleasant. Sound pleasant in the sense that I feel like these are much closer to normal, which makes sense, than my point of reference from Duolingo, which also generates vocals, right? And perhaps someone who has more experience and are specialized and focused on Mandarin specifically has a more accurate thing. So that's very possible. What I want to say, though, or want to contribute in this discussion is I've heard both. That's largely what's creating I don't know which one, but I'll probably, after a while being surrounded by people that talk a specific way, I'll probably talk that specific way. So it's not as concerning. Hear me out here. I know Mandarin is a tonal language and it can affect the meaning of the sentence. We have to remember that there's still the rest of the sentence for context as well. So not only is it both an argument against my point, it is also an argument for my point, right? It's the collection of the stuff. But yeah, 孩子 as opposed to 孩子, right? And I'm saying this now because I'm sure any random person who pops in is like, well, what you're saying doesn't sound like what that's saying, and I think that thing is more accurate than what you're saying. And it's like, okay, I understand. I'll try my best. Maybe I'll start acquiring whatever this is after a while, right? Or go back and forth. Who knows? It's one of the consequences of living somewhere with a different language, using multiple languages, and at the same time learning multiple languages. I think it's one of the most engaging things. It makes you very attentive, a lot more attentive to language when you're learning a language. So I've been gathering these thoughts. I wouldn't be talking about these thoughts if I weren't learning Mandarin, for example, right? And for Japanese, it's a different story, with a few exceptions too, right? Same, but different. 他们在看电视。
他们在看电视。
Yeah, 电视, right? It's higher. 他们看电视, right? It goes up and it's almost at the same pitch level to get the 4. And I kind of drop it a little. So 电视, right? 电 up, and then it drops down to 视 instead of 电视.
他们在看电视。
Yeah, 他们在看电视。他们喜欢熊 No. Yeah. 熊木 right? 熊木。
他们喜欢动物。
动物 Dang it, it's 动。That's the second time I've done it. The reason why I keep saying 熊 is I'm thinking of a panda, like 熊猫. 动 yes, 动物. Actually, how did that sound?
他们喜欢动物。
动物. That's okay. Yeah, I'm okay with that one. Again, I'm not the referee here. I'm not saying it has to agree with me because I'm right. I'm telling myself if it sounds different from my expectations or not, kind of thing. Okay. 他们对。
也好。
也好 also good. I mean, self-explanatory. Also plus good is also good. 他不但唱歌好，他不但唱歌好，而且在oh no 跳 OK， 而且跳舞也好。Oh, this is the she not only sings well, yeah, but also yeah, the 不但 and 而且 yeah phrasing yeah.
他不但唱歌好，而且跳舞也好。
而且yeah， 而且跳舞也好。Yeah, that's higher. It's so high.
他不但唱歌好，而且跳舞也好。
Oh, yeah, the how is so high. 他不但唱歌好 instead of how 而且跳舞也好。Right? It sounds like how to me is how. So like 也好 right? 而且跳舞也好 as opposed to 也好。
他不但唱歌好，而且跳舞也好。
But this is a 3, so I'm okay with thinking of it more of a 2. So 也好。
他不但唱歌好，而且跳舞也好。
Yeah, 也好。As opposed to 也好。What was this? What was this one?
他不但唱歌好，而且跳舞也好。
Yeah, it's still higher than I expect. 他不但唱歌好 right? 唱歌好。而且跳舞也好。That's a 也好。And 唱歌好。
他不但唱歌好，而且跳舞也好。
Yeah, it's higher, but it's still doing the dip. It's a higher dip. 唱歌好。唱歌好。唱歌好。也好。那这是什么？那 what the heck? Is that 尖 No. 那 wait, I don't know what that. 也好。那 something 也好。也好。先试试。先试试再说。Is that supposed to be 说？
那样也好，先试试再说。
Yeah, that's 说. So that's traditional. And then, oh yeah, okay. Yeah, 那样. I see the young. Okay, so they took the young and it just forget the rest. 那样也好。那样也好。也好。先试试再说。
那样也好，先试试再说。
说 oops, not 说。说 yeah, 说。
那样也好，先试试再说。
先试试再说。Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah. 也好。
也好。
Okay. All right.
好人。
好人. Yep. Good people. Good plus people and good plus person equals good person. get all the early ones out first, the overlaps, the literal ones out first to teach like to transition into other characters. 好人不it was like no, that's not it. That's not the word I'm looking for. What is that supposed to be? 不香 I mean 不香 yeah, it's like 香 相上 no. How do I say I got injured? 受伤 受伤 That's not it. That's not the word. I don't know what that is. And then there's 别人, right? Other people. Is that this one? I'm supposed to know this one.
好人不会伤害别人。
伤害别人 Oh, that is 伤。
好人不会伤害别人。
伤害害别人。
好人不会伤害别人。
伤害 Wait.
好人不会伤害别人。
Wait. Oh, that's 会 Whoops. That's 会 Oh, that makes sense. I'm supposed to know this too. I saw 会 a couple times already. Yeah, that's true. 会伤害别人。对，好人喜欢帮助。That looks like 帮助 Yeah, 帮助别人。
好人喜欢帮助别人。
他是一个好人。
他是一个好人。
Okay. All right. 好人。
好人。
Okay.
人们。
人们。Oh, yeah. That makes sense too. People plus people. I mean, people plus people. People plus plural. Interesting. Instead of saying 人们. I wonder if there's a like a formality difference between 人and 人. Let's see. 人们都 think 觉得 There's no way that's 觉得. Maybe. No. This is when. I think this was. Oh, no, wait. Way. This is way. I don't know what that is. Something 为他是一个好人。
人们都认为他是一个好人。
Oh, 都认 I heard 认。
人们都认为他是一个好人。人们都认为他是一个好人。
都认为他是一个好人。I'm gonna have to see what this is supposed to be. I hear 人 but I'm not sure. I love the pauses that this whatever the source of this reader is, whoever is doing the reading or generated, I really like it. It's like it's stopping where I like the clusters are, right? So 人们 right 人们都认为他是一个好人 right?
人们都认为他是一个好人。
Yeah. 人们喜欢在公园里走路呢 Yeah, 走路。
人们喜欢在公园里散步。
Oh, 散步 Oh my gosh. Oh, I read walk and I was like 走路 but oh, hey, this is 散歩 I didn't realize 散歩 translated. I didn't realize you could say that.
人们喜欢在公园里散步。
散步 Yeah, 散歩 Like 散歩する for example, to go on a walk. Like 散歩
人们喜欢在公园里散步。
散步 I should have read that more carefully because this is boo. Sun. Why are those crooked? Why do they have to write it this way? I think they're just being mean now. Like, I'm guessing this is the. I'm not sure if that's deliberate, but if this is the simplified character of this, that's funny. We already had a few examples, like yi, right? This is the simplified. They're all pointing in one direction, right? But the traditional, they're pointed this way. And this one, it's doing that too. It's like regular, but then instead, two strokes. That's funny. I think that's one of the more funnier, like, oh, come on. 人们都说他很聪明。 Oh my goodness. Chong has something in the box. That's the only difference. They put something inside the box. Okay. 聪明. Okay. 人们gotta not re-equalize to mid-tone. 人们 people, sure. 人们
他人
Yep, others. 他人 He or people, either these two words were referring to others. Yeah. 不要打相 disturb 不要打相 I don't know what this character is. Yeah. 像他人的生活
不要打扰他人的生活。
打扰
不要打扰他人的生活。
I'm hearing 扰。不要打扰他们的
不要打扰他人的生活。
生活 Oh yeah, okay. Fair enough. Not familiar with many of those. 帮助他们 帮助他们
帮助他人
whoops 他人他们他人他人的想法
他人的想法
想法对想法 Okay. Eventually, I'll get it. Amen. Oops. That's a typo. Oh, not even men. 人
他人
Oh, other. Do I have to write people? Just others. Others is where. Okay.他们也好 Oh no, okay, 也好 Okay. Oops. 他人好人
好人
人们 Yeah, 人们 Gotta keep the pitch up. 人们 Oh, it's kind of overlapping. There's so many overlapping ways to express things. Okay. 毛毛雨 毛毛鱼，毛毛鱼，毛毛鱼，毛毛鱼，毛毛鱼，毛毛鱼，毛毛鱼，毛毛鱼，fur. A light drizzle of rain is almost like fur falling from the sky. Oh, that's a good point. You know, like the little hairs falling. During a drizzle, exactly half of the fur-like rain will hit the ground in complete silence. Oh, I see what you did there. That's pretty good. 毛毛雨. 正在不毛毛雨.
正在下毛毛雨。
Oh, 下毛毛雨. 正在下 I said boo because I didn't read it properly. 正在下毛毛雨.
正在下毛毛雨。
毛毛雨. Oh my gosh. So high.
正在下毛毛雨。
毛毛雨. 毛毛雨. 正在下毛毛雨. 我喜欢夏天的毛毛雨。
我喜欢夏天的毛毛雨。
It's so short. Let me just keep going. 毛毛雨。
毛毛雨。
毛毛雨. Oh yeah. 毛毛雨.
9月。
9月. Okay. 9th month, right? 9月. 9月6号。
9月6号。
9月是学校开学的 no 开学的记号时间 not 记号时间 I'm thinking of a heckin' Japanese G 时间
9月是学校开学的时候。
时候 sorry 时候那时间时候
9月是学校开学的时候。
开学的时候 yeah 九月什么时候I know this one. 就 Is that 结束 No 结束
9月什么时候结束？
结束 Dang it 结束 Dang it This is the same character. It's not a traditional character. So I'm like the simplified and traditional is the same character. These two are almost the same. This one has these little things down here. But I forgot about 结束. 结束 is one of the words I need to know for the review. I recognize what it means, but I'm having trouble with the reads now.
9月什么时候结束？
结业什么时候结束 ？Okay. 9月
9月。
September. Wait, September, the 9th month of the year?
7月。
7月 Okay. 7 months. Sure. 我不喜欢七夜。七夜是七夜是最热的月份。
7月是最热的月份。
I mean 份 ，sorry 份，那份份份分月份。我们我们七月去海边海边玩。
我们7月去海边玩。
对，七月。
7月。近。
All right. Advance. Yeah, 近. Ooh, oh, they call this a road? Oh, I could see it. That does look like a road. I call it the snail, but road works. That's a turkey. Oh, I can kind of see the turkey. I didn't think of it as a turkey either. Intriguing. Okay. Looking from above, we see an L-shaped road. It's pretty rough looking, with the part of the top being disconnected as the road has fallen into disrepair. It zigzags a bit below. Okay. I use snailback because everything looks like it's on a snail's back. It's a side profile of a snail, and this is an antennae. Okay. Wait, but that's Dao, not Lu. Dao. Guide? Dao. Oh. That makes sense for the simplification. This is a traditional character. We have Dao as in a tour guide. Shun. What does this... Okay. Dao. Shun. Wow. Okay. So what was this road? Okay. Turkey. It's a droopy neck. Wait. How does it work? The top stroke is the head, and the line below it is the droopy neck of the turkey. The resocon depicts the feather. Oh, okay. Fair enough. To gather. Ji. Ing. Whoops. I didn't mean to click on that. Oh, yeah. Juan. Shay. Yeah, Shay. Shou. Okay.
近.
Alright, what is Jimmy Neutron doing in the bathroom of the infirmary with a road and a turkey to advance something? Oh, maybe Jimmy Neutron is in the infirmary of the bathroom experimenting on a turkey, how quickly turkeys move on roads in order to advance science. I'm kidding. Let's see. Jimmy Neutron is in the bathroom of the infirmary, covered in bandages due to injuries from a recent experiment. Okay. He's trying to get into one of the stalls, but it was blocked by a turkey. He obliterates it with his ray gun so that he can advance into the stall. Only then did he discover that he advanced not into a stall, but an entrance to a secret road that leads to the doctor's lounge. The heck? Alright. That's a little... That last part is a little weird. Weird enough to be memorable. Jing call. 进口 路口路径跟that's gun yeah is it 跟进 yeah to follow 跟进 that makes sense 进路进步 sorry 进步等等进长回 no 回进 no 出 that's 出 oh my gosh what's that 去促 oh no yeah 促进 I actually didn't get too many like CUs in the 200 days. So Jimmy Neutron in the bathroom of the infirmary. Advance into a doctor's thing here. Okay. Alright. Alright, so we got road. Mao语
毛毛雨
语 I'm not doing my the 2 is off 毛语 毛语 7月
7月
9月
9月
夜
进间
okay 间 interval. Alright. What's our mnemonic? Jimmy Neutron is in front of the pawn shop. Check. Where he is helping restore some vintage saloon doors. He rubs them with soapy water from the hose, then waits an interval of a couple minutes. Afterwards, he shines a miniature sun, his own invention, at the door for short intervals of time. Oh, that's clever. Slowly drying the vintage saloon doors out on the pawn shop. Oh, and I like that one. That one's really good. 时间 yeah, I usually use 时间 the 时号 but or yeah 时号时间 I don't remember what that is. And something nighttime. I don't know. Yeah, oh my gosh. 夜间 interesting. 夜间 I don't know what that's supposed to be. 时间 oh really? Okay. I can't even see that. Spare time. 业余时间 kind of looks like a 2 mark. It's so hard to see. And then yeah, 中间 the only familiar one. Okay. 间 cleaning saloon doors with a miniature sun to reduce the interval of time of wait.
回
Way. Okay, way. Whirlpool. I like it. Whirlpool. I get down with that. Whirlpool is a depiction. I mean, it looks like a whirlpool from top down. Hui. What is this? Hui as well, of course. Hua. No, Tu. Oh my gosh, that's Tu. Wow. Okay. Without authority, what the... Jian... What does that look like? I don't know how that's... Yeah, no, I have no idea what that character is replacing. Return. Ah! Wait, what did... Oh, the component. We're talking about components, not... uh, I forgot. Whirlpool. We're talking about components, not the meaning of the word they're probably gonna use next.
回
Yeah. Wait. Okay, what is Hulk doing? The Hulk is inside the beach house. Check. The Hulk is inside the beach house on the bay where he just returned after a whirlpool transported him miles away, making him have to walk back. It goes into the kitchen. Another whirlpool appears below him suddenly, sucking him into, returning him to the other end of the whirlpool, miles away. Now he will have to make the return journey once out. At least he is wearing his swim trunks and small goggles. What the heck? I'll take it. It's wild enough. MCU. Makes sense. Magic. 回来，回来 to reply 回答 oh to review 回顾 really 回顾 I must not remembered it correctly. Oh, yes. I was referring to reply. Never mind. Just kidding. Just kidding. To raise again. Oh, this character was in promotion too. 回执. Oh, 回向. Oh, it's like 向执. 相执, maybe something like that. Yeah, to raise in value. 相执. Oh, to get promoted was 上执 as well. Both of them. Yeah, both of them. Dang it. 相真生那相生回声 to recall 召回 okay all right what was that Hulk needed to beach house Hulk beach house
回
getting sucked up and having to return home because of whirlpool shenanigans. Okay, got it.
果
Guo. Okay, guo. I'm fine with that too. Oh, fruit is fruit. Nice. Okay.
菇
Gu. Oh, right. We need a gu. Goofy. Right, nice. Welcome to the club. Mickey Mouse is already in the house. The beginning of the name Gu sounds similar. Yeah, Goofy. Is an anthropomorphic cartoon dog. Yeah. He is known for being extremely clumsy and dim-witted, but can also be clever in his own goofy way. Indeed. Gosh. That's all I can think of. Oh, gosh. Gu. Guan. 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 Guang. Guan.
关
Guan.
逛
Guang. Okay, so they are doing it that way. Okay, Guang and Guan.
逛
Guang. Okay, fair enough. Opening it up a little.
菇
Okay. Now we have fruit. Fruit, you think of a fruit tree, basically. At the top of there is a huge fruit that, yeah. Kind of like a pineapple tree. Thinking about pineapples. 国 yeah, K for lessons. What class? Rain. 我 intriguing. Naked. Lol. That's kind of hard to say. Okay, fruits.
果
And Guo. Okay, what are you doing? Goofy is in the basement of the office building looking for some fruit. Next to a bunch of stack of papers, he finds a dusty, old fruit and grabs it and takes a bite. He then coughs it up because it was plastic. Oh no, that was pretty much 90%. Oh, I was expecting him to eat a plastic fruit. He then coughs up the fruit that was pretty much 90% dust. Monka. Okay. 水果. Cause and effect. Oh, I don't remember what this character's thing is. 因果. Yeah, 因果. Yeah, 因果. How do I remember 因? Chowing to smoke. It's the same character. 因果. 果树. 果树. 果子. And 苹果. Okay. Fruit. Ah! That's the pronunciation.
果
Cool. Fruit. Alright, let's go. Okay, whirlpool. 回.
回
Whoops.
果
Yen.
尖
Ah! Oh, that is not it. That is not it.
菇
Jian is... Wait. Wait, hold up. Which one was... Jian was the Jimmy Neutron in the infirmary. Infirmary, bathroom. Oh, no, wait. No, this is not it. Jian was... The heck? Wait. What else was Jimmy Neutron doing? Jimmy Neutron was outside. Oh, the saloon doors doing using interval. Yeah. Interval. He was washing saloon doors and using a mini sun to lower the intervals for his drying purposes. Harmony. Oh, because he is also something else, but not as a standalone. Interesting. Grain stacks. How does this work? Okay, it depicts a grain stack that is standing in a field, waiting to be harvested. Oh, it's ripe with seeds, so we take it and hit it with something, grains will spill. Oh, I can kind of see it. Yeah. A grain stalk. A grain stalk, not stack. A grain stalk. Didn't realize grain was as well. Chung? I can't see it. Okay. Tio is the only one. I don't think I know shift. Okay, grain stalk.
和
Alright, what is Harry Poppers doing? Harry Poppers is inside the electricity plant. Checks out. Which is loud and discordant with all the generators running. He puts a magical grain stalk into his mouth and waves his wand. Suddenly all the noise comes together into an harmony as though it was an orchestra of generators. 10 points for Gryffindor. That's pretty good. That is ripe with magical. That is on point. Possibly even lore accurate. That is something I could imagine happening. Okay. 和好. Harmony, good. 和好, to reconcile. That's good. 中和, to bring to the middle, to bring harmony to the middle, to neutralize. Interesting. 中和, to center the harmony. Neutral. To ease. Oh, I can't see that. Oh. 缓和. So 缓 is to change. 和 to ease. Ease the harmony of change to ease. Oh, that's kind of neat. 和意. No, 和相. I got no context. 和相. Chord. I got no context for this either. Oh, but that right side kind of reminds me of string stuff. String related stuff. 和相. Okay. Interesting. So what is this? Harry Poppers inside the electric plant got sick and tired of the sound, so he put a grain stalk in his mouth and cast the incantation to harmonize the sounds around it. Nice.
和
It's pretty good. Pretty good.
神
Shen. Okay, what? Even as a standalone, it's what? Okay. Shen. Okay, what is Shrek doing with its Slender Man this time? So we had Dr. Mario and Tarzan tussling with Slender Man, and then Slender Man and Zeus. Zeus was egging Slender Man off on like sawing his arm to show how cool he is. And then now we have Shrek is inside the sick hall of the infirmary. Okay. Battling Slender Man. Of course, they're battling. They both hold large crosses. As they jump from sickbed to sickbed, everyone looked at them and whispered, what are they doing? While Shrek keeps on yelling at Slender Man, what is your problem? I don't know how to do a Shrek impression. I can't do a Michael Myers impression. Something like, silly donkey. I can't do it. Forget it. 为什么? Ne? 为什么? What? Oh yeah, that's right. That's what ma is. 为什么? And 什么? Yeah. Yeah, so 蛇 is still what? I see. All right. 蛇. Okay. Let's check in the infirmary. 神. What? Donkey. That's my best impression. Donkey. What do you? I should watch a little bit more Shrek. That would be a really funny impersonation to do. Like in Shrek. Okay. Grain stalk.
和 神
Okay. All right, now we got our reviews to do, so we gotta book it a little. We're already behind time, right? Yeah. Good thing I finished my Japanese stuff for tomorrow. It's got Neverwinter. Conclude Neverwinter today. Got a nice liberates another day. You know, we'll have Mondays as slots as well for another 3 months or so. The roof is on fire. Shh, no one talks about it. It's tone 5. What was this mnemonic? Frodo at the beach house. Oh, Frodo is outside the beach house surrounded by prisoners doing work, but he's the only non-prisoner.
飞 f
So funny. What was this one? I love these mnemonics. Shrek was in the basement of the bakery. What's tone 5? Just neutral. Nothing. It's mid-tone. It's shortened mid-tone. Shortened neutral. Just meh. Mid everything. As neutral as possible. And shorter. What was this? What was Shrek doing in the bakery? In the basement of the bakery? Oh, Shrek was the one that found the severed hand? I thought Kermit the Frog was the... Oh no, Kermit the Frog was throwing flour in his mouth. Yeah, I guess Shrek is the one that found the severed hand.
手
Okay. Gotta use this. 女人
女人 一 18
Yugi!
于
What was this one? Frodo was outside the entrance to the infirmary, pulling out his sword and chopping up some fins into parts.
分
Okay.
人口
Mouths to feed, man. Mouths to feed.
山口 租 书
What was the... Sherlock was in the basement of the beach house, concerned about the water bill and tapping on the pipe,
水
only to find out there was a mafia of crabs in the pipe. Oh, this one was weird. This was Master Chief is inside the arcade with his son, who's basically a pair of legs attached to mortar, playing DDR.
R.
His son. There's an inside joke there somewhere. This one is a really early one that was outrageous. It was Legolas is on the roof of the electricity plant, and a armless child accidentally scuffed up his boot, so he kicked the armless child off the building, and that child landed on the bush. And people were shocked that, did Legolas just do that? And I don't remember how they're translating the meaning. I guess maybe did. Yeah. Okay. Okay. How did this one work? Oh, no, wait. No, that's not what that's not it. Wait. What was this one? Oh, no. Oh, it's B. Bart Simpson was in the basement of the infirmary looking for the notebook in order to write himself a sick notice. These mnemonics, though, they go hard. Were there parentheses around this? I feel like there were parentheses around this. Let's try it. Yes. Zeus was in the bathroom. Oh yeah, this is where Zeus was in the bathroom of the office building, handing Slenderman a saw to challenge him to cut his arm just to flex how strong he is.
Sure.
And he's saying, do it. Cool. Okay. This one is tricky, so I gotta make sure. And then Kirby is tricky at the moment. And then what's this one? Master Chief was in the arcade doing something in the bathroom. Oh, I'm trying to take a number 2. And he called out for support because he has the armor. It's like it's a code 2. These are so good. What was this one? Dr. Mario was inside. Oh, Mickey Mouse, actually. Mickey Mouse was inside the English Manor, blinded by a portrait of a sun and moon, because they were really bright, right? They were blinded, so he was covering his eyes and advancing on the portraits because they were very bright. Wait. Yeah. Okay. 5月
5月
What was this one? Kermit the Frog. No. Yes. Kermit the Frog was in the bathroom of the pawn shop, chasing after a hand with a hand with an eye in the palm, and he tried to look at the eye and fell faint.
看
Crazy, right? Crazy. I honestly think that I think HanziHero's got it down when it comes to the mnemonic constructions. Jeez. It's so good. So much fun. Oh, jeez. It's nearly effortless, actually. Alright, okay, so let's review. Let's do our post structure review. Right. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's from yesterday. So we got a lot more vocabulary, largely because we're now we have way more characters and words, largely because we've already covered a lot of the sounds, and the components are shrinking down. I mean, there are quite a lot of components still, but the sounds are shrinking down, so it's giving way to other things. Okay, so we have Goofy. Is our new character joining the cast. Goofy. This is Road, Whirlpool, Fruits, Brainstalk. I think we're just gonna write stalk. It doesn't really need the grain. I can see that as a stalk now. Turkey. Oh, let's write the pinyin. Pinyin, right? Jing. Hui. Guo. Guo. Jian. And Shun? Shun? Wait, what was it? It was Shrek? Shrek fighting Slenderman in the infirmary? Shun. Shun. Hey, alright. And then let's write these two. Actually, let's go over the translations. So let's say advance. Return. Root. Interval. Oh, wait. That's not outside. Is Jimmy Neutron outside? Yeah, Jimmy Neutron is outside. Never mind. Harmony. And what? What? Okay. And then we have common. Yeah, yeah, hall. Yeah, hall. 帮人 好人，人们，人们，人们，七月，毛毛毛毛雨，毛毛雨，毛毛毛毛毛毛雨，毛毛雨，毛毛雨，毛毛毛毛雨，有九月。Okay. Do I need the definitions? Yeah, let's do that. So, they also good. Others, good person. I need to change the color in the future. People. July. Drizzle. This reminds me of the story that I usually share about explaining to my mother what sprinkling is. Or sprinkle. As opposed to drizzle. Oh, I could say Mao Mao Yi. September. Alright. Alright. So let's get to these. So what did Goofy do? Goofy was in the basement. Goofy was in the basement of the office building. Right? Office building. What was Goofy doing in the office building? Oh, in the basement of the office building, he found a fruit and totally womped on it. But it was made of dust because it was gross. Womp. Okay, so let's get the other ones. Who else is doing stuff today? We have Jimmy Neutron. Okay. Jimmy, what are you doing? We have Jimmy. I don't think we need to write the side things anymore. Just for since we're really used to it now. Okay, so Jimmy is outside. Jimmy is outside the infirmary? Right? Jimmy was outside the infirmary. Doing what? Something about shooting turkeys with a ray gun, but only to find out it was a road to a turkey that was blocking his advance, only to realize that it was a road to a doctor's office. Here's the turkey. There's the road and to advance. We also have the Hulk. The Hulk. Is it also Is he also chilling in? No, he's chilling. He's inside the beach house. The beach house. Oh, he's returning to the beach house, but then he got like super warped by a whirlpool, only to have to make the trip back again to the house. Poor Hulk. Then we have Jimmy again. And Jimmy is getting a lot of work today. Jimmy is also outside again. Only this time Jimmy is outside of the pawn shop. Jimmy is outside the pawn shop. Cleaning the saloon doors. So we need saloon doors. Cleaning the saloon doors, and he has to wait for an interval of time for it to dry, but he used a miniature sun to reduce the interval of it drying, for it to dry. Now we have Harry Poppers. So Harry Poppers, what is he doing? Harry Poppers is in the... Wait a minute. What location is that? What the heck is E? Is that still infirmary? That doesn't sound right. Oh, the electricity plant. Right. Harry Poppers is in the electricity plant. Annoyed by all the sound, so he put a stalk in his mouth and cast a spell to bring harmony to the sounds in the electricity plant from the generators. And then we have Shrek. So Shrek is in the English Manor. No, he's not. He's in the infirmary. He's in the infirmary. Oops. Infirmary. Fighting with the Slender Man. Fighting with Slender Man with crosses. They both have crosses fighting each other. And people are yelling like, what the heck are they doing? Hello? So Slender Man and cross. Right? Crosses. This is so much fun. Oh, that's a good place to stop. Only 3 hours. I made a digression for HanziHero, but do I have a point about HanziHero? No, not really. I'm reflecting. Let's reflect on it. I think this volume's pretty good too. I could kind of see myself adding more volume, like maybe another 10, just looking at the time. However, we'll keep it here for now. Let's keep this at this pace for a week and see what happens when we transition away from sounds and whatnot. Compare and contrast, I absolutely love this web design for the mnemonics. Like, there's so many checks and balances. So for example, knowing two-ish at the low end, if you know 2 parts of the mnemonic that you constructed, right, that they set in, if you know 2 parts, you can get the rest. And get the rest is all you can go as far as the characters. And the characters form the baseline for figuring this stuff out. Outside of like Sanhee rules, right? Outside of things like Sanhee and whatnot. Those things you have to get on the outside somewhere else. Or you can listen. You can listen to the voice sample to do that. Yeah. This volume is pretty agreeable. If it's kind of slightly on the lower end, but largely because like Wanikani over 50% of the stuff is still familiar. So then we're really, really focusing on acquiring the things that are unfamiliar, which is like the type of mnemonic approach and the contextual design of Wanikani and then HanziHero. This type of like pinyin style is going to be poorly adaptable to Wanikani. So this is not saying that Wanikani, this is where apples and oranges happen, right? This little system with the pinyin and stuff is applicable because it gets also reinforced when you start looking at words. The way Wanikani has to parse them, the system that the routine that I added on top was the on and kun separation, and I'm starting to do on and kun, more refinements and hyper focusing on this stuff while all the other stuff is being reviewed and being familiar. So when I get to the word portion of the thing, I can use that association that Wanikani focuses on. I mean, I can definitely tell that this is possible due to the nature of the predilection, the nature of Chinese, Mandarin sounds associated with their character, as opposed to like the kun and on kind of deal for Japanese. Both are very interesting approaches for sure. In terms of Mandarin and Mandarin as a contrast to the Hanzi, as a contrast to the kanji, both Duolingo treat these two similarly, and in terms of how they tackle kanji and Hanzi. And I already have a makeshift. So how I worked on it is I use rote memory, then form associations. So for example, Duolingo categorizes all the characters, into a separate place, and then the way they teach or reinforce is by association. So if something sounds similar or is used in a related context between two characters, that's what eventually allows that rote memory to rely on associations. For Chinese, very specifically, because the associations are even stronger by their sounds. So it was much, much earlier and much, much faster for Chinese to be legible. Like what I mean is when I hear someone when I see someone randomly type things, like when I'm reading the context sentences, right, that HanziHero has, it's a lot faster, largely due to the nature that when you establish rote memory on these characters, they then become associated with other character or other words. When words have like this and this multiple times, it gets reinforced immediately. In Japanese, I have an extra step for kunyomi and onyomi, and then it's context with that. So Wanikani, I've already started doing that. However, Duolingo reinforces based on the rote memory of its entire thing. So you had, for the Japanese side of things, the rote memory was attributed to the words themselves. So the word provides the association. So I had to focus on establishing a bunch of seeded words. So in kanji, I take a seed word and then form the association outward. And meanwhile, in Hanzi, right, using Hanzi, the seed words also come with the reed seed because of this nature, right? So ultimately, this ended up being a little quicker when it came to the reading aspect. Now, either or, reading for comprehension on a translational way is about the same. Because in the long run, when you're trying to acquire the meaning of the words, Duolingo's approach was identical for both of them. Both of them were identical, where they relied on the meaning, sound, like the whole thing of the word, and try to trick you by changing it up a little, you know, associating. So the whole word was the basic unit. So both of them had the same basic unit. So when it came to the meaning always came up. So there are times when, you know, I'm just reading Japanese and I'm like, I know what this means, but I don't know how to read it. Because it takes an extra step and an extra effort to create the read, because this is a seed for the word, but it only is associated with the read, which Wanikani elaborates further by building it up the other way. So now I can see myself guessing and more frequently working through the read if I had to. Otherwise, you can quickly like click on a reference or like click on a translation thing and then it tells you, or it gives you an example. That's perfectly fine, but it gives you a little opportunity to kind of guess and mess around. In this case, you can construct all these mnemonics, but you don't have to concern yourself with the read for very long. So the nice thing about the difference in experience with HanziHero is you use these mnemonics to reinforce you use the mnemonics as review as opposed to discovery a lot of times, because once you get the sound of the character, that mnemonic turns over to something else now. The really neat thing about this is a review for the meanings as well, and how to write. Like, we'll put an asterisk. You could say how to see the characters. That is something is a little bit inconsistent on Wanikani's side of things, where like the story itself is blending the components you would see in the character. So if you've forgotten what like looks like, but you know the story behind harmony, you'll know that the two radicals are in there, right? And Wanikani does sort of do this. It's not attached to the read, so it doesn't get reinforced for reads as well, due to the nature that it's not a constructed thing. But it does explain, its mnemonics do include sound-alikes, you know, things that English words that sound like the thing. So the mnemonics are supposed to, like, two cheeses is supposed to be tsuchi, tsuchi, right? Tsuchi. Or like two keys for tsuki, right? This is the analogous version of the others. And personally, I don't think it would be a little bit overwhelming to remember an incredibly large set of sounds and combinations and then exceptions. Like, there will be a lot of layers of exceptions, which Chinese does not have a huge layer of exceptions. I'm kind of curious how they're going to do that, though. So far, our only exception is the silent exception. Silence is the key word. It's to silence, like, the, right? The. You can silence the child, which makes it then, right? Instead of 子. Interesting. We'll see. I think the first one that we might encounter is probably like why or something. I mean, sorry. Like, maybe. There are a few in there that's really early on, or at least would be early on if so these courses are modeled after HSK stuff, so we'll be seeing them soon. We'll see how they go about it. Right now though, this is actually really hard. The vocabulary is kind of hard in the beginning, largely because it's a mix and match of limited characters. So the order matters. They all seem very similar, largely because there's a lot of redundancy. Like, ren is used like 6 times in a row, and then, you know, men is used. So that could get a little hairy for people who are starting from zero, right? So, but hear me out. If you can handle that, right? The early days, you might be very enthusiastic, you're discovering things. So in the early days, it's probably one where you're most enthusiastic, and overcoming the hurdle of seeing the characters used in so many different ways kind of normalizes the nature of the Chinese Mandarin, right? Like homonyms and things that look alike, and because the characters are used a lot, the distinction, and they're not necessarily distinguished by their sound, which Japanese have. It also happens in Japanese. However, the system has more reads a lot of times, so there's a distinction between when, okay, it might look the same, but it can sound different a lot of times, and how it's structured. There's like 2 or 3 layers of additional structuring, which can help distinguish the things. Here, you're like, so, thankfully today, or like one, for example, today there wasn't a situation where it's like, I don't know, 他人, and then it becomes 人他, and then 他人人. Like, if you put them all together, you're like, which one's which then? The only reason I don't have a trouble, in my opinion, one of the biggest reasons I don't have a trouble is because I already know what they mean. Like, the stuff are familiar to me. So I can't really discount the idea of when you have no attachment to the meanings, like 好人, right? Then 人好, does 人好 mean something, right? Does 好 mean something? Does 人人 mean something? And usually there's some versions of a combination of that you'll probably see in a sentence and stuff, so it can be, I could see that being something. Duolingo does not do that, so that's sometimes they are a little cheeky and make you hear the same syllables back to back in sentences, but because they use sentences as exposure, it's far less frequent to get like 4 prompts in which you have to remember verbatim, where it sounds like it's the same thing or in a slightly different order, and you're hearing the same thing and you're seeing the same thing over and over again, and it can be prone to getting mixed up, right? Did he come first, or like left right? For example, today we learned left right in Wanikani. Did left come first or did right come first? Is it right left or left right? Right? That kind of thing, I feel, the way HanziHero is ordered, it can be a little jarring. Which one is which? And the mnemonics doesn't account for that. Actually, the mnemonics don't account for anything in the word section. Usually they tell you what the character is, and then you have to understand in what order the words are coming together, right? They do, Kevin does have it ordered in that thing in the mnemonics, but remembering the order even in the mnemonics is kind of tough when it comes to English, because if you're using English, you could say a person plus girl is a woman, or a girl, a female plus person is also a woman. The problem is, then which one is it? Is it woman, then person, or is it person, then woman, in the order of the words, right? I can kind of see that. Other than that, I don't think anything else really pops out to me at the moment. And Duolingo only teaches based on words outside of like pinyin. Pinyin is a separate section, and like kana for Wanikani, like Duolingo Japanese is on the side too. So most of the time, you're left to your own devices. In fact, Duolingo is even more different than that. They solely rely on kana for like 90% of the stuff for the first third of the course. So you kind of do it, quote unquote, the harder way or less efficient way first. And this is something that someone else said. I met them like maybe 2 days ago. They were like, oh, this is a weird long or extra step way of learning pinyin. And I'm like, yes, at first. And then now, you know, it took less than 3 weeks to make it almost automatic, to me anyways. So the answer is, well, when you start something that you're not used to, it usually does feel like extra work, right? Now there are things that do make extra work at the expense of making extra work. The question is, how do you apply that, and what is meaningful about it is up to the person using it. For me, this is an interesting system. It makes me think of how I can iterate on this. Like create a flow chart. I can think of a flow chart which would be a great visual like puzzle game to flow certain things. I could think of a format for this kind of thing, as opposed to presenting it like this, where it's like raw SRS. Lots of functionality. I in no way was remembering it this way. The way I read, because of the way Duolingo introduces it, I remember all these characters raw. Like they are, okay, here's an instance of this. And the closest categorization is I categorize based on tones. So like if this is 直, like just 直, like for neutral, right? I would categorize all the other 直s into the circle. Like 直, right? 直 and 直, right? I would put them all together. So there's a sub-organization of, oh, it's this G, not that G. And then I try to connect all the G's together in terms of its use. And that's how I was organizing it, because Duolingo only introduces words based on, introduce reads and characters based on words, which you can learn like that. Or, of course, which a lot of people are a proponent of, you can read and then have it salient based on the entire context of a sentence or a paragraph or a story. I think these are different levels of entry, different ways. To summarize my like 1 hour digression or lesson or story from Wanikani, all of the above, if you can. There's a place and time and opportunity to dabble in all of them. When you're bored of one, there's an opportunity for another. When you're bored of that, you can go back to the first one or educate yourself in a different way. The idea is they typically reinforce each other if you creatively make them reinforce each other. It really is dependent on the user. So if you don't care about other things, if you write off and excuse yourself from knowing those things, then you have no practice or application or knowledge of it. So when someone says, oh, that looks like it would be very hard, it's like, well, yes, of course it will look like it's hard or extra effort. You didn't do it yet. You didn't try it yet. You didn't work it yet. So the mindset would default to it's harder. The act of feeling like something is hard is a consequence of incompetence, right? Not that it's a bad or a good thing. It doesn't interest you, so it's got to be hard. If it interests you, it's less hard, actually. Like what I mean by that is, even if you are looking at something, and if someone comes up to me and say, wow, that looks like it's hard, first, it's likely due to disinterest, and also they probably haven't done anything similar to it. Now, it can be either or both of them. That's a factor, or a lesser third and a lesser fourth reason, which we're not going to go into right now. The two dominant ones are, if this person is not interested in it, they are more likely to say, oh, that looks like a waste of time, or why are you trying harder on this thing? Also, if they don't and not familiar with it, of course it will appear like it's extra work, right? That's a generalization of incompetence and inexperience. Whether it serves a purpose or not is definitely up to that person. So if they're not interested in it, then it is hard. If they don't think it's worth their time, it is hard. I say this to reinforce my good old answer that to response to a question I get really often. It's Chinese harder or it's Japanese harder for an English speaker? And my answer is it's neither, because I choose to learn it and I'm having fun learning it. So the difficulty is irrelevant. What is hard is every language that I've chosen not to study. Because not only am I incompetent, so there's no way I can gauge what the difficulty is, so that's hard. And also, I'm not interested in that stuff. So ultimately, when people ask that question, they are trying to gauge their interest. As in, if I say it's hard, does that reduce their interest in a language? If I say it's easy, does that reduce their interest in the language? Sometimes when you say easy, it could elevate their interest because it might be approachable, but there's that second factor. Are they interested? If they're not, something that's easy can still look hard. At least I feel like those are the two major drivers. So whenever someone says, oh yeah, I don't play like that seems like a hard way to play the game. Disinterest, inexperience, in my opinion. Those are two of four-ish major drivers that count for that type of opinion. So why is this important is largely due to the nature that this is different from someone who's has experience and saying it is hard or easy. So when you go and look at reviews, which was the reason why I talked about the digression in Wanikani, when you look at reviews and people's hot takes on what is exciting, what works, you have to also gauge their level of excitement. If they used Anki for 5 years and they said they wasted their life using Anki, then of course whatever they are doing now is going to work. It's exciting, it's engaging, and it's new. Right? That factors into a lot of the rose-colored goggles honeymoon period thing of getting out of something that is no longer interesting. This is on the other side of things, when you're deciding if you want to follow this person's advice or not, right? If that person is very enthusiastic and say, oh, this is very easy, does that convince you that you're interested? Does it impact interested? Oftentimes, when I think of something that looks difficult, my only concern is, sometimes, like, I'm not trying to be reductive. It does factor in quite a bit because there's time and all that. There are objective reasons why when you look at something that's hard, someone can characterize it with objective truths, like how long on average to complete the course, that kind of thing can be very... Ultimately, though, one of the biggest factors in me making a decision to invest in, like, oh, I'm apologetically using the system, right, that this person is doing, it's because I saw the system, I bought into the system, and I'm going to try it. It's not hard because I'm invested. It's hard, it's disagreeable, it's not worth your time, and you wasted your money, is because you bought a product thinking you could use the product, but it didn't behave the way you wanted. That's a very different way of evaluating a product. And oftentimes, I think that's how people evaluate their products nowadays. It's not in the scope of the average user or other people or research into the community or the overall appearance. It's their opinion. And their opinion deals with understanding their behavioral mindset. If you see someone who says, oh yeah, I say it like it is. I always give my honest opinion. I just call it as it is, how I feel. It's like, well, then you have to take that into account. because if they call it as it is, they can be susceptible to being bored of something and then moving on, and anything after moving on is better than the thing they're bored at, right? So then you start thinking, oh, this guy loves this thing, it must be the greatest thing in the world. You try and it's like, oh wait, I've had something similar to this. This isn't as great as it looks, or this isn't as great as it sounds. How do you explain that? Because you're probably familiar with it and they're not. So that's a really, really like important thing when it comes to decision making, at least in my opinion. When I see reviews and look at investment advice and things of that nature, taking into account the context of someone's dialogue and recommendation is very applicable nowadays, because there's no standardization, right? There's no standardization. What makes a good language learning app? If someone comes up to me and say they know exactly what's a good language, like what qualifies as a good, the qualities and the metrics of a good language learning app, and then I take their criteria and ask another person, and they say I full-heartedly agree, and then the next person, then the next person, and then there's like 90% agreement, then yes, I'll agree. But I would contest there is probably very, very unlikely case that otherwise there wouldn't be a market for it. So let's just observe some facts. The language learning app, there's so many of them. It's a blooming industry now, and especially with the current, topical thing about TikTok and all that, it's actually blooming even more. So why are there so many choices? Well, one of the facts that you can try to explain why there's so many choices is because there's no agreeable standard for language learning. So the next time someone goes around and say, this is the best thing since sliced bread for learning Japanese, you might want to ask yourself, what other competition do they have? If they have a lot and they don't resemble this person's thing, then no, it probably isn't, right? It's kind of like saying, oh, I see this person behaving badly. Okay, what do other people behave within the context of that? Can I get some more context on this? Instead of jumping right the gun and say, oh, this must be true. This is like a reflection of everything, right? That can be very, very difficult to overcome if you convince yourself of that nature. And next year, yeah, who knows? Next year, I'll probably be using Monikani and HanziHero in a really, really different way. Maybe even in a truncated way, along with like 2 other or 3 other different things. And there's no guarantee that I might not drop some of these, right? So right now, this is awesome. I enjoy this. If it looks confusing when someone comes in and they say it looks really hard, the only thing I can do is I can smile and say, if you use this app, if you use this, not this app, but if you use this web, actually there is an app version of this actually. If you use this app and you use it for maybe up to this level, you engage in what this is, you can probably read this. So the question is, what does that give you? What kind of reward does that give you? Well, you can kind of see this. This is a different language. Like, what I mean is, what they constructed is one of the reasons behind coding languages, right? If you're not great with mathematics, abstraction of symbolism, creating flow logic and like categorization, like ordering things, this would certainly be a way to practice how to order information based on abstraction, right? This is not for everyone. However, what I mean by this is not for everyone is not everyone is going to find this interesting. However, for those that do, they can at least, at minimally, test how well they organize abstraction, like symbolism, symbolic abstraction. There's E hyphen, hyphen E hyphen parentheses. It might as well be different characters, right? So, no, I don't have necessarily a lot of problems with looking at ideograms, as some people have suggested that might be like the toughest part about like going from English to Japanese and Chinese. But hear me out. If you can understand A plus B equals C, you can substitute any of these values in there for any of these symbols. But, right, you can also view them as, oh, there are so many lines and those lines don't come together as a unit for you yet. Those are the different things that come with practicing other strategies, right? At least in my opinion. Learning a different language can help you with that. It can cause you to think differently about the language. Now, one hot take is that most people, in my opinion, want to learn a language with the minimum amount of needing to relearn how they learn, or to expand or improve the way they learn something, which, in my opinion, for me, is not what I think the strength, the hidden reward that comes from learning things. When you attempt to learn things, you end up learning different ways and evolve the way you learn in the process. When you go to school and get challenged by many, many different types of subjects, those subjects hopefully are supposed to encourage you to continue to improve the way you learn, the way you solve problems. They are not, in my opinion, deliberately trying to make you limit your ability to learn. So like, come up with one strategy and you hope that that one strategy, if you keep working on that one strategy, that will work for the rest of your life. I think that's quite literal. To me, the hot take, I have opponents, obviously, I have plenty of opponents about this. The strategy for formal education is to expose you with many, many different disciplines, because each of those disciplines may require different techniques and problem solving. The higher your educational level goes, the likely that you will have to expand and widen your abilities to problem solve and think, not contract. Now, there are iterations. When you iterate on something, there can undergo refinement, right? Refinement. Increasing the efficiency of something can narrow that, can specialize you. The iteration process involves taking in new information in order to improve it and then refine it again. I think it's one of the biggest misconceptions or mindsets that gets locked in, maybe because there's a lot of explanations, but the internet, I typically attribute a lot of this to the internet. The algorithm-based things cause you to continuously think in the same way, because the same way is comforting, it's reinforcing. If the same way gives you dopamine, it will continue to give you dopamine, consistently give you dopamine, and you'll require more and more of that dopamine to the point where you don't believe anything else is useful. So, when someone says, hey, why don't you go practice piano instead of doom scrolling on TikTok? Well, I have many, many hours of TikTok, and this is something that I know will work for me, will provide my dopamine, and I will continue to do it because playing piano is a waste of time. I need to put effort into that in order to generate dopamine. I'm refined, super efficient at getting my dopamine using TikTok. Why would I want to learn a new method to get dopamine from, right? Like, why do I need to entertain other sources of dopamine when it's so convenient and so comforting to do the same thing? Studying is the same thing, in my opinion. Same, but different, because it's a little bit more dynamic. But if you have been studying the same way since you were a high school student, it provides predictable results, right? If you were successful as a high school student, you're probably incentivized to continue doing it. I actually kind of play on this a lot of times when someone asks, do you have any advice for starting a language? My advice is often, do you have anything that works yet? Right? Like, what was the last time? What was your school success? Take what is successful, start there, and continue incentivizing yourself to expand while learning the thing. Because ultimately, there's a reason why you didn't continue learning. There's one of the underlying reasons is you don't have a healthy relationship with making learning increasingly attractive and dynamic. It's not interesting after a while. You're no longer interested in learning. It reminds you of all the days you've been doing the same thing and it's not interesting anymore. In order to make learning interesting again, in my opinion, one must encourage each other and oneself to entertain the idea of trying to learn differently. And that differently doesn't mean replacing your existing learning thing. You incorporate the learning experience into your approach. So what are the most successful advice, in my opinion, the most end game advice when it comes to the patterns that associate all the successful polyglots? They integrate as many forms of different types of engagement and interaction in their learning skill set. There are times for this, times for that, and in itself, it may seem really all in one task may seem very efficient, because when they're not using that task, they're doing another task that overlaps with the goal of it. If you're reading, then you're not spending time listening. If you're writing, you're not spending time looking. Like what I mean is, like, there's a disproportionate amount of time. So when someone says, oh yeah, this person only used Anki and they became fluent in Japanese, what gives? I'm using Anki 100% of the time and I still can't get close to fluency. It's like, well, do you know what else they're doing? Right? If it doesn't make sense and you're relying on your objectivity, you could blame yourself and say, well, that person is just built differently and that's why. Or there's in my opinion, a far more reasonable, realistic explainer. That person's history is different from yours. They have a different skill set, a lot of differing ways. If they were using Anki only, do you know that they are using Anki exactly the way you're using it? You don't. That's a hyperbolic presumption. It's often true nowadays, especially for younger people, because they are bound by their tools, right? If the tool doesn't do it, then you can't possibly learn how to do it. That is what I'm concerned about a lot of times. When someone literally came up to me in like a month into Duolingo and they said, no, the tool is what defines your limits. The tool is what makes you successful and can own, it's the limit of the tool. And I hate to, or I'm not in agreement with that. That is an impasse. The greatest of artists and creators and whatnot is the person that uses the tool. And so that, in my opinion, is almost as similar as it has lots of parallelisms to how people approach studying. It's like, so you're really comfortable with studying. It's like, okay, you're really successful at studying. Like, well, that's great until it's not, which is when your studying methods no longer put out, right? What happens when you have an incongruous studying habit with a discipline? One, you could quit. Two, one would naturally be, if they're interested enough, they would naturally expand the way they study. Ultimately, encouraging someone to learn something that they're not used to leads, you hope, at least in my opinion, as an a prospective educator, you hope that getting them interested in something that they're not comfortable with leads to the appreciation that, oh yeah, you know what, I really love the way now that I look at these things. I no longer look at these things the same way. When I see a word, I no longer see one thing. When I think of how I'm going to remember this word or this character, I no longer think of it as one way to remember it. I can remember a new English word with Chinese. I can remember a new English word in Japanese, as opposed to, oh, I'll only remember English with English, right? When people talk about, oh, how do you think in Chinese? How do you think in Japanese? How do you think in English? You practice that, right? It's hard at first. It's one of the transition points that people keep highlighting. Oh, this is when you become fluent. You start thinking in that target language, right? So if you don't use it in so many ways, you don't have to literally speak it. It's not entirely bound by, oh, there's English subtitles. Oh no, like you have English subtitles now, no matter what, you can't learn anything from Japanese. Well, watch the show with English subtitles, then watch the show with Japanese subtitles. Where there's a will, there's an association you can do, right? It's so baffling how, in my opinion, this is a hot take, it's baffling. No, it's not baffling. It's not surprising that much. The younger you get, the less experience someone has, the less likely that they are willing to entertain different subsets of ideas, largely due to inexperience, in my opinion. So, for example, I have spent a very long time understanding that you can do something, the same thing, but differently, over 3 times, and it will produce comprehensibility than, say, someone that says, oh, you must, you know what the hot take is? You must always listen and immerse in Japanese only in order to be proficient in Japanese. That, in my opinion, is coming from an incredibly narrow-minded perspective. Narrow-minded perspective in the sense of, if the only important thing that's part of your whole life that's necessary to sustain you is getting to Japanese fluency, it's like, all the power to you. I hope that works out. Be an excellent polyglot, but in my opinion, it is negligent and a disservice if you go around saying that is the solution for everyone, right? Not only is focusing specifically on one task and hyper-focusing on one task make you a rarity, you are rarer as a person if you completely hyper-focus on one thing. It's kind of like saying everyone can be a theoretical physicist by focusing entirely on physics. Yes, they probably will get somewhere. Will they do it? Are they going to be successful? The answer is probably the vast majority of people won't. Largely because I would argue 99% of the population aren't astounding theoretical physicists. So when getting advice about language learning and you take it from someone who specializes and completely narrows your options to one thing, that to me is a big red flag. It's an incredibly big red flag. It's a red flag, however, it can work. If you know exactly that this person is you, like 90% of whatever comes out of this person's mouth describes you, your personality, your background, and it all lines up, then you are part of that 1%. We'll up it up to like 5%. that this person's device is exactly what you're looking for. For every other part of that other 95%, it's going to fail in some way. Like, it's going to fail your expectations. Not like it's going to fail you, as in you're not going to learn Japanese or something. It's not going to meet whatever arbitrary expectations you have, because as the similarities fall apart, your percentage goes down, right? It's a culmination of the things. So, how often do I learn things like this? The answer is I haven't ever done anything like this for pronunciation. Not only that, I actually think I would be able to adapt this model to IPA to learn English pronunciation. I think I might actually do that in the future, like well into the future, but I might do a structure like this in order to distill all my English knowledge and adapt IPA so I could have some sort of ability to be able to talk to a very select few people who actually use this stuff, right? Use IPA for structure. There's diminished return in understanding IPA. However, it might be a fun task to generate something like this, like a pinyin, like this like pinyin bubble thing that they're doing, and see if it can be, you know, potentially helpful in the future or something interesting to do. Not that it's pragmatic. It's an exercise in learning, right? When you're learning something, it doesn't necessarily have to be literally useful, but the act of learning is useful. So that would be the take-home message. So go out there, invest. The other core thing that I was echoing from Wanikani is 5% of your life, right? 5% of your life. Keep that noggin active, interested in something, willing to learn, because it can help offset the day you actually need to learn something, right? If you worked at a job for 60 years of your life, the same job, and then in that 60-year life, you know, around 15 years in, you realize that you need to learn something. You can choose to ignore it and brute force and then, you know, have it impact all aspects of your life, or you get to use like, oh, you know, this seems like fun. Like I'm okay with learning something new because I learn something new every once in a while for 5% of my time. So the idea is that if you don't do something ever and you keep avoiding doing that ever, it doesn't get easier, it gets harder. So when someone says, I don't trust anyone, like everyone is cynical profiteers. Well, when was the last time you tried to trust someone? Right? And yes, you can still end up being betrayed and whatnot, but the act of trusting someone is to determine how you can trust someone. If you do not do that, you don't learn anything. You can get advice as well and try to like lower the barrier of trying to get to trust someone. So you can hear other people's stories and whatnot, and that can lower the barrier, much like watching someone to generate interest in that thing in order to make it seem like it's not hard to do, right? What does a professional do when you see them in action? It makes it seem like it's effortless. So your interest is generated through the idea that they make it look effortless, right? That generates interest because they're lowering the barrier of difficulty. When you see someone stumble, fall, smile, and have fun, you kind of want to do that too. Because what you know is that you don't know anything about how hard it is. You don't know anything about how easy it is. You realize that this person is having fun and they're progressing and they're smiling. So that lowers the emotional barrier, even at the expense of incompetence and inexperience. So go out there, use YouTube in a way that is really, really effective, in my opinion. Go watch people if you have to watch people, go watch people learn something that is really fun and potentially interesting to you, and dabble in it. You don't have to be the best at something that brings you joy and continue to encourage you to try new things. I'll bring it back to HanziHero now. I think this stuff is hilariously fun. I almost want to rewrite all of Kevin's mnemonics, largely because I could use the foundations that Kevin has set, and I can generate my all of mnemonics of my own now. Now, someone would say, why would you waste time when Kevin already did this? It's like, why not? Because Kevin made the mnemonics, right? That means it's not mine. These things don't belong to me, as in, like, not from a objective standpoint, from a metaphorical, sentimental checkpoint, right? Like, when the difference between having someone else's mnemonics as a starting point and then being able to generate your own mnemonics, it becomes effortless. His structure allows me to create my own things. When I was reading his mnemonics, I already used shorthand. I already described things in my own terms. Like, Shrek is in the basement of an office building, just huffing and puffing. And then he's like, you know what's a great idea to do in the basement when I'm angry? Let's just go burn some memos, right? Those aren't the exact words that Kevin said, but the structure, that the foundations that Kevin has laid allow you to embellish and add whatever you want. Wanikani is a little bit more restrictive and it's a little tougher. However, the mistakes that I make, I embellish those mistakes in order to reinforce and bolster the mnemonics. Is it a waste of time to redefine that thing? Well, you could say it adds more time to learning or using study time and review time for Japanese. I would argue and counter you and say, well, I'm exercising and practicing creativity on how to create good memory and mnemonics. If you want to skip that step, then you yourself you'll continue to be just as dependent on another person to create and make stories for you. So the next time I ask you, hey, you could use your Japanese to write a story about yourself or a short story about yourself. And then the first comment you make is, I'm not creative enough to do that. Well, cause and effect here. If you don't do that already in short bursts in mnemonics and stuff and creating stories, then yes, I would agree with you. You probably don't think you're creative enough. And my first thought was, nah, you got this. You got this. Start with, like, describing your breakfast day, and then describe what you want the breakfast to be, right? So then you're creating something. When you journal something, you're going to realize, now I know what my life is like on a piece of paper using a target language. Now you could say, what do you want the journal or your story to be like? Then you can write about that. And one day, when you're talking to someone, you can express your desires and your wants, but also be realistic about what's happening now, right? Lots of these disciplines are connected. So go out there, be creative, be interested in your life, right? And then reserve some time for learning, right? And learning about learning, anyways. This doesn't get old. You'll probably hear me say this upcoming week. All of this upcoming week, probably, because I'll be doing reviews and whatnot. Right? And now we're going to switch to our final thing of the day, which is our conclusion to our Neverwinter module. So thanks for hanging out and listening. If you're only interested in learning Mandarin and HanziHero, right? Good luck. If you're going to watch this later, 谢谢. So until next time, 下次见. Right? 大家下次见. I'm gonna get up, walk around, stretch a little bit, and I will be back for Neverwinter. Thank you, thank you.